we tap the sack with the the Agiel and get it right between your nuts and we shake it around a little bit like two eggs.
Welcome back to Seeker and Confessor, a Sword of Truth podcast. My name's Lauren.
And I'm Frank.
And today we are discussing part 2 of chapter 41 of Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind.
That's right.
So, judging by the speed with which we are going, we predict there will be 3 parts to this chapter. Mm-hmm. There's a chance for 4.
There's a chance.
But I think...
No, we'll stretch it. We'll marathon that last episode.
It does feel like it's segmented into 3 parts of it, right? There's like the introduction to the whole idea of what we're doing. There's the we're doing it. And then...
And then there's the doozy.
And then there's a 3rd part.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot to say about that last part.
That I won't label. Before we get into the chapter, I would like to make a retraction from last episode. There was some confusion about how the boxes of Orden function.
Yeah, we were confused.
And we were given clarification by Shannon and also by our friend SonarMan77 in the comments, who he really did quite the deep dive. He gave us some quotes. So yeah, it is confirmed that Dark and Raw cannot do anything without the 3rd box of Orden. Okay. Now, how much does that matter? Because we all know that my man's getting his hands on it. Not much, but from the character's point of view...
It changes things.
It changes.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Our questions were irrelevant.
They were.
When we had with that knowledge.
Richard's machinations on keeping the box away makes total sense.
Well, that would have been a really big plot hole, so I'm happy that it wasn't that glaring.
I agree. Though it is weird, if he doesn't open a box, he dies, and then one of the boxes also just kills him.
So what?
It's just kind of weird.
Well, that's why they were all like, oh my god, it's so risky that you even put them into play, you psycho.
Well, now it's even more risky.
Well, yeah,
What's
that's
this
what
guy
I mean.
doing?
I don't know why he did all that.
He's so cocky.
Okay. So I know you had something that you wanted to tell everybody.
Dear listeners, I apologize, and this is harsh and heavy news to give you, but Brophy, or the mask of that I was wearing for that one episode, has fallen to the forces of Raw. We'll put a picture up here in memoriam, I suppose.
He's dead.
Yeah, our dog Luna assassinated it on the lawn.
She didn't like the competition. She felt like there was something wrong with this dog. Like, she was like, you don't feel like a real wolf or a real dog. Something's wrong with you.
She was right.
It was him talking, everything about it. It made her uncomfortable.
I think she heard that he was peddling magical beings.
Oh, right.
And she doesn't tolerate that, our dog. So.
She has a harsher line than Kaylin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Luna just wanted him gone.
So, and now he's gone.
He's dead.
We might get another one. I don't know. But
if we need it. If we need it. But I think we'll all make it without
I can't
the
imagine
mask.
there'll be another Brophy chat. Like, so Brophy-centric.
What if he has, like, a whole death scene, though?
He might. And then we'll shell out a couple of shillings for it.
Okay, so we're going to get back into our Mord-Sith training today.
Oh, yeah.
What's kind of interesting is the way that we, like, segmented this out. Mm-hmm. I kept feeling frustrated because... this part alone, if, say, the chapter ended around here and where we're going to end in, like, I don't know, say, like, the next part did not occur.
Uh-huh, yeah.
It would work.
Absolutely.
Pretty well,
Absolutely.
Actually, right?
Yeah,
like, it would all feel pretty coherent. I would be like, oh... what complex things Terry's playing with here. How fascinating. He did a pretty good job. But it's when we get to the 3rd part of the chapter next episode that I start to go, now it's convoluted,
it loses
weird,
complexity. Confusing.
I don't know what you wanted me to make of any of that. So when I'm going through this part...
yeah.
I think I'm going to be like, oh, it's actually kind of good.
Yeah, this it's pretty solid. Just tainted by what we know. But not itself yet.
Yeah.
Up until that little sword divider, we were doing pretty good.
We were rocking and rolling.
We were rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Up until the sword divider, I was like, oh, this is like exactly what I wanted.
Yes. From your magical dominatrix.
Yeah.
All the other criticism of why did he do this withstanding and why did he deny that it is what it is.
Sure.
But for what it is, this part's pretty fun, pretty solid. And then... But that's for another day.
I think that's why I got so mad, though, when we got there.
Yeah.
That I was like, are you serious?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You're giving me
He's yucking his own yum on us.
On me. Don't put it on me.
On you. He put it on you.
Gross.
Well.
Get it off. Okay. So we left off. Richard was taken by Mistress Denna. Woke up in his little dungeon room. They had a lot of conversation for some reason.
Richard can't stop asking questions.
About, she explains a lot about how this is all going to work. She really sets up that this is so hopeless, etc., etc. Yeah, Richard asks a lot of questions.
She's establishing boundaries. There are none.
She's doing the classic, I suppose, training approach with the Mistress Denna specific flair.
Yes.
And so we left off with her putting she put the collar on him. She took the chain, put the chain on the chair. We were a little confused by that.
There's a
how
dowel
it worked.
or something.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I don't know. The chain's on the chair.
Yeah.
And she said, we're going to play a game where you have to try and get out the door. And every time the chain leaves the chair, it's going to hurt really, really bad. But you have to keep doing it anyway because I need you to like internalize how painful it is to disobey your collar.
Yeah.
Right?
World's least fun escape room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
1 star.
No, the least
5
fun
star.
escape room would be this, but Mistress Denna's not present. Instead, it's like an ugly... What? Actually, yes. The worst one would be this.
That would be the worst
but
one.
Samuel's running it. It's a little better with Mistress Denna.
That's what happened to Griffith. When you think about it.
Oh, yeah, that thing was really... Yeah, that did. As I was writing the notes, I was like, this is going to be a little repetitive to talk about. Mm-hmm. I do think, though, again, the repetitiveness when you're reading it works pretty well. It's just not that interesting per se. Yeah. Some parts of it are. But some of it might just be like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's going to be rote.
But it's fine. I'm just saying, even if I think it's boring a little bit here, I didn't think it was boring necessarily when I was reading it.
I wasn't bored at all.
Oh, yeah. She's like, let's start the door game. And she's standing against the wall, arms crossed, watching him. So Richard tries to walk towards the door. His knees buckle with pain before he can even like put tension on the chain so he doesn't get very far. And he realizes that the pain only gets less when he starts moving backwards towards the chair. But the whole point of this is for him to
move forward.
Always move forward. So Richard reaches for the ring, I guess to try and unhook it from the chair.
Yeah.
Which, is he supposed to do that? Is that part of it?
Well, he's thinking because as the chain starts to get taut, he gets a lot of pain. So he's like, what if I bring the chain with me, I guess?
Yeah, I guess as will happen, I think I would assume that's going to make the pain worse,
I think, but whatever.
He wants to try it out.
You would probably try it if everything hurt.
So the pain of the magic cramps his arms and he's shaking, he's sweating, and then he vomits on the floor blood. So
great.
He's in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So then he decides to try and use his sword because he can't like get close enough to it to like take it off. So he's using an extender, which is his sword.
Yep. His dick. Interesting. Okay. All right, keep going.
I don't know that metaphor works all the time.
We'll see.
Well, he uses a ton of effort and he does touch the chain, the ring or the chain. I don't know. It says chain, but that's confusing with the blade. But the pain paralyzes him and he drops the sword to the ground. Mm-hmm. And when he puts his sword back in its scabbard, some of the pain goes away. So it's kind of like any attempt towards not just like standing there next to the chair hurts. Then Richard does some real like action hero moves here. He lays on the ground. He kicks the chair out from under him. And he does it really fast before the pain can really hit it. It is smart.
It's a good move. Yeah.
That sounds like it would work. The chair skids across the floor, hits the table, and falls over. And the chain falls off of the post on the chair.
Yep.
Once the chain is off the chair, as I said, I would have predicted the pain is even more crazy.
It gets way worse. Yeah.
It's really nuts. And he's gasping and choking, and he's crawling on the floor towards the door. It hurts the more he heads in that direction. He goes blind.
Yeah.
He feels like his eyeballs are going to explode. He only moves 2 feet, and he doesn't know what to do because the pain is so bad, he literally cannot move anymore.
He's in a rough spot.
Yeah, my only thing is when I read these things... Okay, I guess I feel like the spectrum of, like, human pain is maybe not as wide as Terry says it is. Okay, how do I explain? It's like we go for so long with this ever increasing like sense of this is the worst pain I've ever felt. Actually, no, it got worse. It got worse. It got worse. And we do it so many times, and he's starting from a place of like going blind.
And then we're like exploding past
and
that.
We're exploding past it by like times 100.
Yes, a couple of times.
And I guess I'm like, I think once you're at the going blind point, I don't know how many more checkpoints there are.
Well, that's what she's here to show us, I guess. Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe my imagination on pain is like not.
I think what would serve this would be if the Mord-Sith had some way to like bring your pain back down to 0.
Yes.
And then keep inflicting high levels of pain
Right.
over and over again. Instead of just this, I don't know, once I'm not able to see for a moment, how much more pain am I taking before I'm just out? You know?
Well, I know the magic though will be keeping him conscious a lot.
The reason you go unconscious is because your brain can't process that much stimulus, right? Like that's how science works. I don't know.
Sure, but I think the magic's overriding that science.
But then the next step is insanity. Your brain goes, I can't process anything anymore.
I know.
I'm losing the ability to process.
I don't know if the implication is like the magic can literally stop you from passing out and stop you from going crazy. I don't know. That seems.
But I need that explicitly stated because that's fine. Like that's horrible. That sounds horrific, and that's I think what he was going for. But I'm like, I'm sitting here being like, is that what's happening? Because I think way before this, even for a full day, and now we're talking about he's going to be here for like months.
Yeah.
At what point are you just like, I can't feel anymore? My brain lost the ability to feel.
Like I said, I just think...
Or I just lost my mind completely.
I think the implication is that...
She's keeping you present in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my only thing is that sometimes I get like... There's a little bit of fatigue from like, okay, I keep pushing my imagination to conceptualize what this pain is like in these moments, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm doing a good job. Putting
yourself in Richard's,
but like imagining how bad it is, and then every time he tries to be like, nope, worse. I keep being like, all right, well, like I almost can't imagine.
I'm losing,
what you mean anymore. Yeah. Once we hit like the 4th or 5th time we've done that,
we're starting to like get past understanding, and there's some play of that, especially in fantasy, where you're like, that's what I like. But then it's like, I don't know, when you start like jettisoning past your own experience and then like what seems possible, and then like, all right, well, where even is Richard in the abyss of pain right now?
Well, it's hard to know towards like the end of this. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, because then if you're a little more like loosey goosey with it, where you're a little bit like, I don't know, artful. Mm-hmm. Instead of grounded like this is, where she's like causing XYZ pain. If it was more like he's in a miasma of whatever for 20 days, you can conceptualize that in a way.
Yeah.
Because your brain goes, all right, I can't understand it, but here it is. It's big. Mm-hmm. Whereas this is like, oh, I'm riding it with him, but like, I don't know, I've lost the ability to like track what's happening.
But I think maybe that's intentional, right? In a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's on the floor. He's blind. He can't move anymore because it hurts so bad. He starts crying and asks Mistress Denna to come help him. She comes over. She puts the chair back up. She puts the chain
she's
back on.
She's not in a rush doing any of it.
No. And whatever. I guess that helps it feel a little less bad. And he's still crying on the ground. And she stands over him, hands on her hips, and says, "That was only 15 minutes. Since I had to come help you, the hour starts over. The next time I have to come help you, it will be 2 hours. Understand?" Then she puts an Agiel to his stomach. And you're like... She is like... You're like, holy shit, that's crazy. Difficult and harsh. But then you're like, yeah, I guess they're like the way we set the Mord-Sith up. Yeah, she has to be this level, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Of harsh. Otherwise, it's kind of meaningless.
I'm pretty happy that he proves just how...
Yeah.
And like... Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the things Terry does do feel like lip service.
I agree. This
and
doesn't.
like this does like when she's like, "I'm the best. I love torturing people," and you're like, "Yeah."
Now let's see it.
And then
you're like, "Oh, you're right.
She does love it.
She's serious.
She is the best."
Yeah, well, right? Like because I'm like, okay, so what would the alternative here be? That she says, "Oh yeah, you're right. That was too hard, Richard." Like that's so.
Well, yeah, she could
like,
just be like.
I guess she could just be like.
Now you see, you cannot escape.
Yeah,
if she just ended it here.
True. She could do that.
Yeah.
She could also even just be like, the hour's still going, keep going. But you are like, that's another level.
No, this is like...
That's another level of mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like wrestling coach level of just like...
What?
Like, if anyone falls down, you're running 2 more miles. It's
but
like that kind of thing. But like the worst possible version,
one.
Yeah.
Except the worst one is Samuel.
Correct, yeah.
She asks if he understands what'll happen if he tries to escape. He says...
Yeah, wait a minute, though.
God.
You're right.
Right, that's actually the worst.
Why didn't he just do that?
Because... Well, okay, I think there's 2 reasons. One is that, again, this one's fun and sexy.
Of course,
The other one is... That's why I wish they kind of like explored it, but maybe they will. I know there's a lot more Mord-Sith content on the horizon.
Yes.
In this series.
Thank
so
the
maybe
world.
we'll get some touching on this, but like because they don't just want to torture you. They want you beholden to this figure.
Yes.
Right? Like so say they didn't want Richard to do anything after the fact.
Yeah.
They just want to torture him and then kill him, right?
Sure.
That's having somebody like Samuel do it is the better option.
Yeah.
But to make them kind of like devoted slaves to somebody, think about how much easier the combo of the pain plus beautiful lady is.
You're right.
Right? You're never going to want to be beholden to Samuel. Your body's going to fight it so much harder. And your mind.
That is interesting though. But it's going to fight it harder. But at this level of pain, with this level of torture for this extended period of time,
no, but you would do it. You would literally do it. But they have like I think an extra. Okay, I honestly think this kind of makes sense. I'm really.
I want to hear it. Yeah.
Because there's some part. So you're like really tortured, and then there's the part of you that's kind of just being forced to do what this person wants because you don't want the pain and you don't want the this and whatever. And then you're living in such a state of like helplessness and joylessness that having somebody really erotically beautiful in charge of you, your brain is going to want to take like the one thing pleasant it can latch onto.
Sure.
And say, maybe like I do love her. So now the combo of the fear plus the long-term feeling of like devotion you have towards her will make you do what she wants
more
extra.
pliant. Yeah.
Because on some level,
maybe.
Now you're like, say you're in this state for like 2 years. I think you'd be in love with her on some level. Your brain would.
Definitely.
Right? But you're not in love with Samuel. You're just, okay, I have to do it, so I'll do it.
So in your brain then, this beholdenness, this constant torture, this relationship in which you are being asked to eroticize or idealize or love a beautiful figure comes much easier.
Yeah.
And not only that, potentially has the capacity to make you more devoted.
Yes.
Therefore.
Well, you have very little in your life at that point. Everybody, even when your life's going good, you see this lady, you're probably like, oh, I kind of want to focus my attention there because she's hot. And, whatever, exuding confidence. But now imagine, like, that's the only good thing you ever see, interact with. Like, I think you would be like, your brain would just be like, we're not getting out. We have to listen to her. And, like, let's be real.
She's hot.
On an animal level, she's very attractive. So then you'd be like, I'm just going to lean into that feeling.
It only serves me to, like, get really into her.
So, like, it really is, though, because I wrote a lot of it coming up. Like, this weird version of where you end up mentally as, like, being a confessed person.
Yeah.
Like, it is that. But I don't think that could happen with Samuel.
No.
Not the same way. Not with the same level of fervor. Because there's something about it...
there would be some sort of chaste devotion to that ugly creature. But...
I think there's something true, like capital T true about the feeling, right? Like when you like look at her and you go like, no, but I do kind of feel in love with her. She's so sexy, beautiful, whatever. Something in your body is like, that is not fake. That is true. So on top of it, now that just like really reinforces the whole thing. Where like, if you tried to think that about Samuel, something in your like soul knows it's not true.
Well, and I guess specifically Samuel. I guess if you,
right?
Wait. Oh, that's very interesting. Because like a Samuel type character, he is not confident.
No.
He is not just ugly. The ugliness is actually not the problem.
I think it does play a part.
It plays a part. But if you had like a Quasimodo type executioner man who was very like, I'm good at this, and like he was confident in his skills.
No, you could, yeah.
There's some element that you can latch onto, but a Samuel is specifically a character where you can't latch onto it. There's nothing there. He is specifically stripped of those things.
Correct.
Like intentionally.
Yes.
That's why Gollum was designed that way. You have to pity him. He has nothing of that.
So him being in charge of you is like truly
the worst. And even at that depth, you cannot think he is something other than what he is. That's an interesting point.
Yeah, I just think it's, like I said, if you were like, I want to maximize the amount of like just pain, discomfort, badness, everything, having somebody like Samuel do it would hit the goal better. But if part of the goal, which it seems like it is, again, is to like be like, you are just super, super, super devoted to me, obsessed with me, do anything I say, it actually behooves you more to have just that bit of goodness, which could be beauty, sexiness, whatever, for the person
at the core of the thing.
That's more, like I said, if you want them to like be alive and doing things, that's more effective, I think.
Fascinating.
But yeah, I think if you were just like, you did something terrible, this is your punishment before you die, Mistress Denna is not the best choice.
Straight cruelty, you go Samuel.
Yeah.
Slavery, devotion, control, you go hot dominatrix.
Yeah, I think that.
Okay. All right. Think? I'm on board. I like that. Yeah, you sold me on that.
That's what I think. I think, because I'm trying to imagine myself in this position. You give me to somebody like Samuel. Yeah, my brain's going to really want to fight it. Like, it's going to come out just like a lot more perverse and doesn't have the strength of trueness and realness at its core. Yeah. Where like I could totally see in this scenario long term just being like, fine, I love her. At least she is beautiful. At least she is hot. At least she is so smart and in charge and all of these things. I love her. The end. Because it's like some form of like an exit hatch, for your brain.
For sure.
So yeah, she asks if he understands what will happen if he tries to escape. He's like, yeah, and it says that he really did mean it when he said yes. So he realizes finally that he's like, I really don't think I can get out of here given how bad this pain gets. And he feels really hopeless. He wants to die. He thinks about the knife he has. She tells him to stand up, and she says, if you should think you would end your service as my pet, think again. Because she can read his mind sometimes. The magic will the magic will prevent it. There is no way for you to escape me, not even through death. You will be mine as long as I choose to let you live. Richard's like, well, you know what? That won't be long because Darkenwall is going to kill me. She's like, perhaps, but only after you tell him what he wants to know. When he asks you questions, you're going to answer without hesitation. So similar to what I said, like again, they just have they do have a role they want him to fulfill. It's not just purely for the sake of torture.
No, he's got to spill the beans. Absolutely.
I think Mord-Sith are an effective strategy.
Absolutely.
For this sort of thing.
I find it crazy you can go to the underworld but not take thoughts out of people's head with magic, though. you know?
Oh, dark and
This
raw.
is an elaborate thing to do.
Well, I guess I'm like, again, now you've introduced mind reading power
Yeah.
with Denna, and I'm like, how does it work? Because at that point, when he's in that moment with Dark and Raw, why will she not be able to read his mind in that moment?
Great question. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Because it's like, oh, it's only when it's like directed at her. But I'm like, him thinking he's going to kill himself isn't really directed at Denna.
No, it's not.
So I don't know. How does she know that? And why won't she be able to see the box of Orden information?
I'm wondering if it's like Richard ends up being such the perfect slave that like she's just totally bought into him never betraying her.
Maybe.
So she's not even skimming thoughts anymore. She's just like, he's so in tune with her.
If she wants to satisfy Dark and Raw, he's asking a question and she thinks there's any chance she could skim his thoughts and get it, I think she would.
Sure.
Right?
That's true. Yeah.
Like, I assume Dark and Raw impressing him is more important to her than just like liking Richard. But what do I know? Richard's so special. Maybe not. Maybe he's more important to her in the like 2 days she's with him.
She's with him for a while, I think.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was 2 months, I think, till the end of winter. 1 month, right?
I think it was 1 month.
So she's got 25 more days or so.
And there's just not that many pages in the book left.
That's true.
So
That's true.
I just, how long
what
did
are we
it
on the
be?
last 100 pages or something?
I guess.
Yeah.
She says he may not believe it right now that he's going to tell Dark and Raw what he wants to know, but she is the best at training people and she has never failed to break someone. So, again, fucking with the mental.
That's it.
Richard's like, oh my god, the first day literally hasn't even ended yet, and I would do almost anything she asked me to, and I still have weeks with her. I guess but Dark and Raw could get the box at any moment in those weeks, technically.
No, they're all safe in Michael's giant army. They're all safe.
Yeah, in the Bayuvact.
The Biovac army
in the Shangri-La.
Shangri-La Hills.
Duh. And so, like, he says the worst part was knowing that she was right, that very well may end up happening, that he tells Dark and Raw.
Yeah.
And he wishes he could will himself to die. Well, he can't.
And it's sad.
So then she says...
As you do.
She tells Richard to take off his shirt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why would she want that?
I don't know. I just don't know.
Well, she says, why would she want that?
Well, she holds the Agiel in front of his eyes and tells him she's going to teach him everything that the Agiel can do. And if you leave your shirt on, it will be covered in blood and I won't be able to find a fresh spot on you. You are going to see why the outfit I wear is this color.
Wow.
So Richard starts panicking. He asks what did he do wrong that she's going to do this to him? And then, she gets all hot as she does. Yeah. And she cups a hand to his face with mock concern and says, why? Don't you know? You have let yourself be captured by a Mord-Sith. Good answer.
It's not, but keep going.
I think it's a good answer in that it's hot, but I also think
it's a great answer in that it's hot, yeah.
Well, but kind of. He's like saying, like, she's trying to be like, stop trying to use like logic like that.
Yeah.
The only reason it's happening is because that's what I do and you're here.
You fucked up.
That's it.
Yeah.
So she tells him, I don't know why, he should have used his sword to kill all her men, but then...
Terry just needs to let you know there was a way out.
Then used his hands or his knife to kill her, because then the men would be dead and she couldn't capture his magic. He still asks again, why do you have to use the Agiel on me right now? And then she says, because I want you to learn that I can do whatever I want. There's no way for you to stop me. You must learn you're totally helpless. If you enjoy any time without pain, it's only because I choose it, not you. She comes back with manacles, which my notes say handcuffs. It wouldn't actually make any sense for him to write handcuffs. In my brain, though, it is funny because I feel like there is some part of Terry that's like, no, it's not handcuffs.
It's not fuzzy handcuffs.
It's not BDSM, it's manacles.
It's manacles. It's not BDSM. And honestly, people definitely use manacles in BDSM.
Yeah, it's not BDSM, it's manacles. So anyway, she takes the manacles out and says, you have a problem that annoys me. You keep falling down. We're going to fix that. I didn't like that. Sometimes he pulls out some real hard hitters with his Mistress Denna lines and like her like comebacks and attitude and snark. But sometimes I'm like, she wouldn't say that. She wouldn't have said that.
Probably
just like
not.
She wouldn't have said, you keep thinking about boring trees. I'm grouping those together. I don't think they go.
That's the same.
The problem that annoys me. You keep falling down.
You keep falling down. That's annoying.
Don't think that's her tone. Not canon for me.
I just did like, though, because he's like, why are you doing this? She goes on her whole rant, like, because I'm a Mord-Sith, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, all right, but why are you doing it right now like this? Like, why do you have to hurt me more right now? You won already. And she's just like...
Yeah, but that is the point. Like, she's like, I don't have...
Stop asking,
I'm
man.
never going to have a good reason. I'm just doing
your life
it.
is me own. That's the answer. Your life is me own.
He puts the manacles on. I was really confused. Did you understand how this went?
Like, vaguely.
Denna puts a chair underneath a beam. I'm assuming he stands on the chair.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
She's hanging the handcuffs from a beam, I guess, on the ceiling. And there was something about the chair being underneath the beam.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a clear, like, and then Richard stood on top of the chair and then she hooked, like, I was confused. I don't know.
Yeah, the way
How do you imagine it?
He puts the manacles on himself, right? And then...
But then they hang
there's like a hook on the...
Yes.
Oh, yeah, so he gets it over
So then why'd she bring the chair over?
To reach up high enough, and then he comes down. Because the big problem is that makes him so scared is that he's like barely touching his like toes are just touching the ground.
Right, so he did get on top.
He got up on the chair, secures it, and then when he drops, he's like, "Oh shit, I can't even stand."
Right. Okay. So Richard feels extra helpless like this, and she does the classic maneuver, the classic move. She's walking in a circle, tapping.
Yep, tapping the riding crop. I'm sorry, the angel.
Yes, he's in his handcuffs. I'm sorry, manacles.
He's manacled.
Yeah,
she's geeling. Geeling.
She's wearing her latex. I'm sorry, no, Mord-Sith leather.
Mord-Sith leather for training.
And he's wearing his collar. That one's just the same.
Correct. Yeah, shockingly. Yeah.
That one's the same. Okay.
Yeah, the stalking, the circling, the tapping. It's hot.
We like it.
We are fans.
I thought this was interesting. So right as she's doing that, Richard thinks that he wished he was just killed on this mission going to stop Dark and Raw. He was like mentally very prepared to die in this pursuit. And he thinks that this is different. This is death without dying. It was a living death. And he was not even allowed the dignity of fighting back. I would say two things. First thing, I think it's interesting because we commented on how Kaylin similarly...
I have thoughts on this too, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Also kept saying she was so willing to die for this. But then like, okay, in Richard's case, his like, I would rather die than do this. That to me is valid. Kaylin's, though, I found bizarre. Her, like, I would die, but I won't eat human meat. But I won't let Richard have sex with a girl. But I won't, like, that, those were absurd. This one makes sense.
This one definitely makes sense, yeah.
But it is interesting that both of them seem to have this matching sense of, like, we will die for the cause, but, like, not other things.
I have a thought on that.
Yeah.
And I do think they're both clearly, despite various age discrepancies, I think that they're both young. Mm-hmm. They're both young hero archetypes, right?
Yeah.
And I think that frequently in these tales, when you think of like a Joan of Arc, like the younger heroes are always looking for martyrdom. Because
right,
it's
just like Alexander Hamilton.
It has an end point that they can. Well, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
So just like Alexander Hamilton, actually.
You consider Alexander Hamilton's death martyrdom?
No, but dying is easy, young man.
Yes, correct. All right, yeah, no,
Fighting
I'm sorry.
Living
yes,
is harder.
Yes,
dying is easy, young man.
Well,
living is
if
harder.
You said just like Washington said,
just like Washington
Hamilton.
said to Hamilton.
Correct. Yeah.
It's
No, but quite literally that. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Correct. I wasn't saying Aaron Burr killing him was.
I was like, I'm not saying. I'm saying that we need another short episode.
That was Hamilton's attitude. He was like, "Let me die for America." Yeah.
And I think there's something that makes sense about that. Where if you look at the Washington character, living is harder,
right?
And I think that actually carrying through and like living with the consequences of having to do something this hard, and surviving,
Yeah.
and then making a life after that
hard.
is not only extremely difficult, but like incomprehensible to people that have not gone through that level of pain,
That's
that level
probably
of
true,
suffering.
yeah.
And that's why I think young heroes are always like, I will go to the end and I will die. Like Frodo falling into the lava, if he did. It's like, it's very like off that cliff sort of thing. And yeah, I think they're both primed to do that.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, I actually have to do the hard stuff. I actually have to like deal with the worst things that can happen.
Yeah.
Instead of just winning and then dying.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That is definitely like a...
Well, the hero's journey is always
Right.
precipiced on going to the underworld and then coming back out.
Right.
So he's in the underworld right now.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's weird. I just think it's weird, though, that it is even mirroring Kaylin, because I guess I'm like, Kaylin, what was Kaylin's underworld here?
Doing uncomfortable things.
Yeah,
at
like
all.
doing mildly
Like,
uncomfortable stuff. I don't know. I thought it was
eating one Slim Jim. I don't know.
like, it was like, relax. Yeah, I think it's funny, though, the difference between, like, Richards is
this
so
one's
fair.
way worse.
Like, Richards, like, get hers. Okay, calm down.
I make you one trade: eat this primal beef jerky, or tortured for a full month.
Yeah,
worst pain
no.
imaginable. You pick.
Literally. So I thought that was interesting. But then I was like, the concept of saying it was death without dying, living death is so what being confessed is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you get bro-feed. But
R.I.P. Yeah.
yeah, if you, right? I'm like, that is what getting confessed is. And that's why I always get frustrated when they're like,
It's love.
well, that, but also when they're like, oh, it's like, oh, we don't want to kill him. We're just going to confess him. And I'm just like, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Right?
Yeah.
And in some ways, I think it is worse confessing them than killing them.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Definitely.
So I think it's interesting, Richard being like, I feel like I'm dead. I don't have any control over myself. And yeah, it's horrible being forced to be conscious in some capacity while also not being in control of your life.
Yeah.
To this level, I'm like, that is literally what confessing people is.
Yeah, but instead of through pain, it's love.
Right, but I'm arguing, going back to my earlier why they pick hot ladies argument.
Yeah.
They're also, it's about as much love as confessing. But like similar, I would say infatuation, obsession, devotion.
Fair.
Is baked into it, right? Which, again, is why you can't have an ugly man do it.
No.
But again,
True.
also by virtue of it functioning that way, you have to accept that part of the whole dynamic you're building with these characters is sexual. That's all.
Correct.
You're weaponizing, not, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but like you are utilizing sexuality and eroticism as a tool here.
Correct. 100%. Yeah. To try and emulate.
Consciously, which
Yeah.
is very powerful and would work, but don't say that's not what's happening, because if that's not what's happening, then you might as well have just made it Samuel, right?
Good fucking point.
You know what I mean?
Good fucking point.
So Richard thinks to himself that like he obviously understands how painful the Agiel is at this point, so the only reason she's doing it is to break his pride and self-respect. I think it's probably like both. That's definitely a big part of it. But I also think there's something about him being in such constant pain that is going to make him well-trained.
Of course.
You know?
It's making him pliable.
Right. Like if
Yeah.
she were to be like, yeah, you got it. You know how bad this hurts. I'm going to stop now. It's like you're not going to be as...
No, you really need to like be like shown the depths of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. He's being like hyper literal for some reason, which is fine.
For some reason. It's his existence. So she's basically just like walking around in her circle, randomly like hitting him with the Agiel, like waiting till he relaxes a little bit and then doing it.
That one was terrible. Because like that sucks.
Yeah, that's horrible.
And you're gonna like want to like cleanse up, but then
Yeah.
you're hanging from the ceiling.
I know.
Your toes are barely on the ground, and you're like, there will be a moment where you have to relax.
Yeah.
And then she's gonna hit you, and that just keeps getting longer and longer because you're trying to. But then you're getting weak. That's fucked up.
So I kind of liked this concept. I wrote the whole quote down.
Let's have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Richard imagines his sense of self, his dignity as a living thing, saw it in his mind. He imagined a room that was impervious to anything, to any harm. He put his dignity, his self-respect into that room and locked the door. No one would have a key to that door, only him. He would do what he had to do, and someday he would unlock the door and be himself again, even if it was only in death. But for now, he would be her slave. For now. But not always. Someday it would end. I think that was written pretty well.
I agree.
Did you like it, or did you not like it?
No, I liked it. Yeah.
I liked the concept. I think the way he described it was good. And yeah, I do think... Well, I think it's important because probably moving forward... we have to kind of know, how is Richard conceptualizing his relationship with her? And the fact that he is allowing himself to be like, yeah, fine. It's so intense and bad. I am accepting that I'm going to be her slave.
Yep.
But still making that distinction of like, there is another part of me, though, that's not involved in what we're about to do.
Yep.
And I can come back to it if I have the opportunity at some point.
Well, I like the finality of it. Like, I will come back to it.
Yeah, because even if I'm dying, that's it's coming out of the room. It's back online because I don't have to listen to her anymore.
Exactly. His commitment to that concept of like, at some point, even if it's in death, I will be me again. But for now, I am not.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's like he's a version of himself.
Yeah, reduced.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's specifically like, oh, you're not going to break me. I'm going to hide the part that you can break, and I'll just go right to broken. I guess when people break, it's usually because they're, not mentally preparing to... And this is a very explicit situation where it's like, I'm trying to break you.
Yeah. I'm telling you
I'm going to hide part of my psyche.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm drafted to war and I'm seeing all my friends getting killed, I'm like, I can't handle who I was going through this. Yeah, no, things just get broken in life.
I bet soldiers probably do stuff like that too, though.
Probably.
Right? If you're going to war...
Some definitely didn't.
Some don't, but I'm saying I think some people probably do if you're getting drafted, be like, okay, I'm kind of like going into that. I think you would. That is how you would handle getting drafted. That's how you could
handle it. Yeah, it would
Like
definitely
you'd
help.
be like, my wife,
civilian life,
my family, everything. That part of me is not going.
You're putting it on hold.
You can like kind of reduce your... like whatever mental capacities are online, I think you can like a computer almost.
Yeah.
Be like, I'm shutting these systems off for now.
I think, and Terry probably agreed with this.
Low battery mode.
I
like the way it was written. I understood what he was saying. I think it is sort of like an effective way to conceptualize dealing with any scenario that's like overwhelming that you literally can't get out of, where you kind of just need to survive. I'm with you, Terry, on that one.
Yeah. Compartmentalization.
So we go from that paragraph, right? We have exactly what I just read. So, for now he'd be your slave for now, but not always. Someday it would end. Next line. Denna took his face in both hands and kissed him hard. Hard enough to make his cut lip throb and sting. She seemed to enjoy the kiss more when she was sure it hurt him. She took her face from his, her eyes wide with delight. Shall we begin, my pet? Okay, so wait, did she didn't this is the first time she kissed him. She did lick the blood off his chin, which is pretty close.
Yeah.
But this is like, which that's overtly sexual, but this is not only overtly sexual, but overtly like romantic in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just cut and dry.
Yeah.
Right? Number one, I would say what he said right there. She enjoyed the kiss more when she was sure it hurt him. Definitionally, Denna is sadomasochistic.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know why we're saying, oh, they're not related. Your character is the definition of the word, but okay.
And you're going to prove it.
Which is, the character makes no sense without that. Of
course, yeah.
But again, no reaction or thoughts from Richard on...
I know that.
Kissing.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, you're right. There's no... Yeah, he has no response to the kiss. He has no...
No part of him is like... First, either like, oh, she's going to use her sexuality and blah, blah, blah.
Nothing. Yeah.
To manipulate me, that could be a thought. Or just a like, whoa, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know. Nothing.
No anger, like the last person I kissed was Kaylin, and I don't want her lips on mine, and like he didn't get the anger.
Seriously.
Like it's weird. Yeah, why did you leave it out?
I think his lack of thoughts and reaction to it is very strange. Very strange. Doesn't make sense. He's got thoughts about literally like everything else she's doing in these chapters.
I know.
The fact, I'm sorry if I.
It almost feels like him saying like, "Oh, she seemed to enjoy it." We're almost getting too much of Denna's internal perspective, which makes me think
avoid
Richard
having to give his own perspective.
You're like,
oh, this is how Denna feels about the kiss. Well, how do you feel about the kiss?
Richard, we're in your head.
Correct.
Yeah. That's interesting. Why are we afraid to give that? Why are we giving the wrong information? We shouldn't know what Denna's feeling, or unless it's Richard reflecting on how Denna appears to be feeling, which
it is, right?
But then how are you feeling about that?
Correct.
You should be having feelings. This should be like, she seemed to enjoy it, and that made me... What did it do?
What?
And then her lips felt... And why is she kissing me if she wants to hurt me? Like, there's no even, like, simple-minded confusion about what's going on.
Oh, correct.
So, why make her do it?
Right.
If you, the author, are not going to give commentary when your character can't stop giving commentary. It makes me think a thing.
It's just... Because, especially knowing that he wrote this a little bit... I don't want to say stream of conscious, but kind of. Like, he kind of just wrote it.
Yeah.
Didn't really go back over and say, like, let me get into the nitty-gritty here. Like, it was just, I wrote it. It's probably fairly good. The end. Makes me think, like, it was just his first instinct, right? He wrote everything the way he wanted to. When something bumped up against, like, I don't want to acknowledge something about me or Richard in this moment, I will just skip over it. The end. I mean, it's just that simple,
of course.
think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he did not crack further.
No.
He gave you the surface thought of, she seemed to really like that. Did you like that? She liked it.
Who liked what? Who's liking what?
Who's liking what?
Who's liking what is the question. And who's me and who's you? And who's she and who's him? That's what I want to know. Yeah, I think it reinforces, though, my concept that, like, it is not just about torture. It's also about love in the confessor sense of the word. It is also...
The confessor sense of the word,
it's also about that cluster of words that I generally like to use in lieu of love. But, right, because, like, why else? Why are you kissing him?
Why are you kissing him?
Why are you kissing him? I mean,
just because you want to?
I guess. I mean, I guess she's a horny girl, and this is her only access, maybe, to men.
She likes men. She likes big,
unbreakable
that's what
men.
I'm saying. That's what she said. So
like, I don't know, but that's a lot of complex, interesting things, right? You're like, okay, so she is sadomasochistic in a, like, emotional and sexual sense, obviously, and then you're like, so that probably does turn her on, and that's part of why she's kissing him.
Yeah.
Then you also have the other angle of, like, I don't know, can Mord-Sith not have, like, a confessor, kind of, like, not have relationships outside of these people they're given?
I don't know. Yeah, that's
and then
interesting.
Is there an element of, like, I am a human being with sexuality, and this actually is my only outlet that I ever will have, so yeah, I'll take advantage of it when a hot guy shows up? Right? Like, what are
Could be. He's mine? Oh, good. I get to get my horny feelings out.
Well, you're like, yeah, the last 3 were ugly.
Yeah,
Finally
true.
gave me a hot one. Great. Only access to men I have. Right?
And then, you're 100% right. And those are interesting questions.
Well, and then I know that there's the lesbian Mord-Sith couple or something, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, like, then you're kind of like, oh, interesting, because maybe they pair up. What if you're like, I'm a good Mord-Sith, but I'm turned off by having any sexual dynamic with my subordinates. Yeah. And then they'd have to pair up, the Mord-Sith themselves.
They would. Just like confessors were like, where are the lesbian confessors, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. They'd be hyper lesbians. There would be a
lot
more
I think they'd be the most sapphic.
They'd
be like, this is the only way we can have any romantic or sexual engagement. They're all just so straight. They're like, never.
And there were never like a male-female confessor couple.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Like, that never happened. It was always
maybe back in the dark times.
It seems like the men went one way, the women went another.
Yeah, maybe they like occasionally had sex and then like
and they shouldn't.
partied.
That would be bad. Yeah. Yeah. So this is where I think it kind of gets a little messy, and I don't. So Terry insisting that it has nothing to do with BDSM, and the Mord-Sith are not sadomasochistic; they're just abusers who are abused.
Abusers.
This is the kind of place where you'd like dig into some of the interesting meat of that concept, and he's refusing to do it. I believe because this sort of thing excited him, and he didn't want to admit that. But B, it's like he is now going to make a statement that people who act like this only act like this because they themselves were abused.
I guess. Like, it's like you could extrapolate. You could definitely extrapolate that is certainly why the Mord-Sith are behaving this way. Again, I don't know if he's making wider commentary because he's trying to be like, oh, people who are doing BDSM, it's so different
totally
than the
different
realness.
Reason than why Mord-Sith do it.
Yeah, which I mean, in a sense, is true. Obviously, sort of related on like a high level.
Yeah.
On the ground level, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Of course, people who are doing BDSM is nothing like this, like in terms of the realness and intensity of the whole thing.
It's just so weird that they would come out of their training and act just like this. It still doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make sense that they're going to pluck out apparently the sweetest little girls.
Right.
And force them through this like rape camp.
Yeah.
They're going to come out as hypersexual.
Right.
BDSM savant, loving sadism.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But yeah, like
this is the. Sorry.
But we said last time that we were like, maybe they do that and really only like 1 out of 100 it actually works on.
Sure. The fact that you think it could work ever in that way is kind of saying something.
I'm not sure.
Right? Because the BD and the SM, right? They stand in counter of each other, right? So
how are they countered?
The sadism and the masochism are the counterpoints, right?
Sure, in that
sense.
So
the sadistic...
Well, that's not the BD, though.
That's, bondage
take the
dominated.
BD out.
S&M. We're talking about S&M. So the S, sadism, is the love of causing pain or inflicting whatever.
Right.
And the masochism is the love of receiving.
Yeah.
Right? So we're not claiming that these little girls loved to receive it.
But aren't we? Because...
They were the sweetest?
No,
or what?
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of the fact that we find out that the Agiel pain she's experiencing it as well. And then the scene we're going to get at the very end of the chapter with the Agiel makeout.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. But... yeah, that kind of does say that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It does kind of.
So it's sadomasochistic. They're
kind of one and the same thing. They're
really leaning into the sadistic side for the most part, but they like seem to have kind of, right?
And then he's almost saying something about the fact that people who are abused or take pain learn to love taking pain and then therefore love to give pain.
Yeah.
And then this is one big cycle and loop.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily true. Not necessarily.
That's a problem, I guess, when you try to make it such a concrete metaphor.
Yeah.
It becomes annoying because it becomes like, does that really work in a lot of instances of abuse? Sort of, but sort of not. But if you kept it bigger about like just like human nature, the darkness and lightness. I don't know. If you just made it much, much larger, it works because you could be like, you're not trying to say anything hyper specific. There are some abuse themes that make sense and jump out. There are some sexual themes that make sense and jump out. There are some broader, the evil in the heart of mankind themes that jump out. So then it no longer will have to function super well on that like abuse level.
Yes.
And him trying to reduce it to that level starts to make it not make so much sense. Because like you said, you're like, I can think of a lot of instances where somebody gets dramatically abused in childhood and comes out just loathing the whole thing.
Of course. Like having no sexuality. Or
correct.
Like that happens plenty. There's tons of cases of it.
Yeah, it's really only interesting when the abuse part is interesting as one facet, but
Yes.
it is not, the whole thing's not that interesting when I only think of it through that lens. It becomes interesting when I open it up.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to do it. Okay. But it doesn't, I think everyone who feels pretty drawn in and engaged by this part of the plot is doing it on a wider level.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is that this part, that's what I meant in the very beginning of the episode, where like this part of the chapter feels like it works really well on that broader scale.
Yes.
That he's claiming he wasn't really doing, but it works really well there. Then when we get to the next part of the chapter, that's when he says, I'm just doing the abuse one. And that is, for me, where it falls apart, because everything I was liking about the broadness of this, he tries to like throw out.
Agreed.
And that's where you're like, okay, well, now you made it uninteresting again, or just, to me, incoherent. It's incoherent at that point.
Yes, I definitely agree.
It's incoherent or troublesome is what I'll say. You know what I mean? It's one or the other.
At the least.
Yeah. It's incoherent, or it has become concerning.
Yep.
So
let's just go from muddled and we'll walk away. Yeah.
like, that's the end of that.
So what'd that Agiel do?
Yeah, that Agiel do a lot. It has a lot of modes that you could put it on.
The wand, you can go crazy mode, you can go light pressure, hard pressure.
Yeah, she's like, if she drags really lightly, she makes these welts on him.
Yeah.
If she does it a little harder, they fill up with blood. But then she could also cause
you have to upgrade your welts.
Yeah. She could also make the same amount of pain, but do no welts if she wants. Like, she really has such fine-tuned control over the
It's insane.
pain of this thing. It's, like, sort of silly, but I thought it was kind of cool.
No, I didn't hate it.
Yeah,
I kind of liked
it. Was a little neat.
Honestly,
like, it's like her pain magic wand that she, like, it's so specific. There's something cool about it.
It just does pain.
The mailman's coming.
The mailman. Is he looking cute today?
He always... Oh.
He didn't even fucking
Wow,
come.
we got
what
no
a
mail?
bitch.
No, he never looks cute. He's always wearing... No, he's like a young...
On blast.
He's young. I feel like he's like 21, and he's always wearing like these like ratty t-shirts. And I'm
That's your type. 21-year-olds.
it's
ratty
so
t-shirts.
not.
What are you talking about? You love that.
I don't know. Like, I'm always like, would the post office approve?
Maybe they don't. Maybe he changes before he heads back.
I've always been trying to figure out, is the t-shirt
A post office t-shirt?
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm
it's just ratty?
There's
supposed to be in a uniform, aren't
ratty.
they?
It's just too big on him.
Oh, maybe he lost a lot of weight.
I don't think so. He just looks like a skinny boy.
He's been stealing Ozempic.
I don't know. Okay, that's the update on the mail.
All right, so she's welting him. She's poking him when he's relaxed. She makes him close his eyes. And then she hits him when he least expects it. She tells him he can't open his eyes.
Uh-huh.
Then she finds the armpit.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. Yeah, his anger gets away from him one time, and it's right when she sticks it into the armpit, which, like, you understand.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, like, is she sticking it in his butthole?
So that's what
That's what
dear
I
listener,
wanna know.
I've been wondering.
Yeah.
I feel like the butthole's got to be worse than the ear.
It's gotta be worse than... It's gotta be worse than the armpit.
Wait, we're forgetting about the prostate.
What are we forgetting?
He's coming.
Yeah, he definitely would accidentally.
Oh, she would love that.
If this were...
Mistress Denna's ruining Richard's orgasms? Is that what's happening?
If Terry really committed to being like, yes, you know what, this is sexual, that would happen.
So she doesn't go near his butthole in text.
Maybe at the end...
No balls, no penis.
No, at the
We're
end
not
of the
doing
chapter,
that?
she does, though.
She put it on his dick?
It's implied, I thought, heavily.
Well, we'll get there next time.
I think it is heavily implied.
Next episode's going to be 4 hours long. We have a lot to say.
Next episode, the anger will be... You guys get ready, because I'm like... Yeah, a lot of this, we're like, okay, it's a little...
Cheeky,
It's
horny,
a little cheeky,
fun.
it's a little repetitive, it's a little what we want it to be. The feelings I'm going to have next week are unreal. It's been a while since I since the first time I read it.
Yeah.
And I remember being like,
I'm excited to read it again.
out of control.
Yeah.
When I read that.
Hits you like a knee to the jaw, you know?
I know some of you are reading the chapters before our episodes. And so some of you probably have read it recently too. And you know what we're talking about.
You know.
Okay, so yeah, but no, I did wonder that too, because I was like, why? Okay, like here, it's like if it's sexual in nature,
yeah,
the genitals and the butt would be involved in this whole thing at some point, but I think it is later. But like, yeah, even if we're just going for like pure, like I'm just being utilitarian and trying to find the pain spots, like it's in the mix, it's involved, right?
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't care that it's sexual. I'm just here for the the peak amount of pain. So into your butt it goes.
You would think.
It's so funny because you're like, it actually is. Like on paper, logically, the butthole being the main orifice of this pain tool makes so much sense. But I really am trying to imagine like the scene that's coming up with the ear, but just every time it's someone's butt.
It's actually the butthole.
It's so funny.
We put 2 agiels in the butthole.
I almost feel like he like knew that and just went like, I can't do that. What else could I do? And then he went ear.
I mean, yeah.
Ear.
No, it makes sense because
it's like your brain.
No, he's specifically keeping all the sexualness of this very surface. It's kissing, it's touching, it's rubbing.
Right.
It's not penetration.
But
it's not,
is though.
Well,
they have sex.
Yes, we're not there yet. I'm saying he's edging towards that. He's edging us towards that.
Towards the jelk. He's edging us.
He's edging us towards the jelk. And then he will milk us.
I don't know. I just love the idea of being like, and then the piece de resistance for all Mord-Sith are the part where we put it up your butt.
Put it up your butthole. we tap the sack with the Agiel and get it right between your nuts and we shake it around a little bit like 2 eggs.
The problem is that's like for real would be so painful.
So painful.
You're kind of.
The taint stab.
Yeah, you're literally pussying out so bad to act like that's not where you go
know.
Immediately.
There's so many things. If I wrote, I won't. But probably not. But yeah, I don't know. God, she should be like tracking nerves down his like thing and like making. Yeah, I know. Maybe I'll do it. But
Terry stole from Robert Jordan. You're stealing from Terry.
Feels right.
He deserves it.
Thief the thief, just like George Cypher.
Okay, so like she realizes like, oh, he hates it in the armpit, so she like really focuses in on doing it in the armpit.
That fucked me up a little bit.
Yeah, I was like that.
Ooh, the armpit hurts, and then the fact that it made him angry. As soon as he calms down, you're like, I'm gonna focus there now. And it's like, damn.
Yeah.
But that is what someone good at this would do.
Right. Yeah, I didn't really, like, this was sort of weird, this part. So she's, like, doing that, and then he's, like, getting good at controlling his anger in response to the armpit stabs. And so then she, like, recodes the magic on the spot so that...
he gets hit with the anger anyway.
Even if he's not getting angry, he's feeling the pain of getting angry because she turned it on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I take that as him like bratting her, not giving her what she wants, so then she punishes him.
Yeah, I see that. I'm more commenting on it in terms of like my brain wants to like stop and be like, wait, so like how does the magic work? What can you do?
Yeah.
How'd you do that? Like, I don't know. So what, you just have to think it? And
she can flare it. Like she can just
but she can flare it on. Okay, but she can flare it so specifically. And I think what's interesting about it is that you're like, I guess I'm assuming a lot of this pain is very like melting into each other in terms of like what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that implies that the pain is so specific that he can differentiate that he's feeling anger pain versus agiel pain versus
weirdly think I agree. Like I think the way that's being described, I think it's emotion. I think it's a feeling thing. Okay. She's just kind of like pressing on the pedal in her brain a little bit.
That seems like a lot of power.
Yeah.
Where'd she get it?
From her training. They
But
taught
where'd
her
she
how
get
to
the
do that.
magic?
From him. She just has capture magic and then a control panel. That's as far as I think it
Wait,
goes.
hold on. Okay, so she has an
His
Agiel?
magic is flare. It comes into her. She steals it.
Yeah, I get that. Okay.
And then her whole power is just, how can I turn the thing I stole back on you?
but,
I have fine-tuned control
okay,
of that.
okay.
You know what I mean?
So it's not so the anger pain is just...
Her magic powers are literally useless if she didn't capture
No, I
anyone's
get
magic.
that. Anytime Richard gets angry outside of this context, does he feel extreme pain anytime he's angry?
No, the way it used to be was before he got captured.
Yeah.
When he felt angry, the sword actually protected him. Depending on how righteous his anger was,
Yeah.
he wouldn't feel the pain.
But he...
And then if he killed someone, then it would rack him.
Right, I get that. Okay.
But she's taking the racking pain portion of that and saying, you have no defense now. I'm just using this on you. He can't shield himself with the magic from feeling that pain.
But I guess I'm like, okay, she has his magic. I get that, but I'm kind of like, wouldn't he still have to kill somebody to get that to flare up?
Internally, when he's using it correctly, that's how it works. She just has control over its mins and maxes right now. So she's just hitting him with like sound waves of his power, you know?
Like, I don't know if that makes sense to me.
I think it's just, what can the sword magic do at all? I now own that.
But why would, like, if Richard, it's Richard's original power, right?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Richard have that level of control over it in his own body? And why does she have more control over it than him?
He's new. She's been training on how to do magic stuff probably for a while. And I think whatever her... Because she does not have the secret powers. She just has the pain portion of it.
Okay, well, that's even more convoluted.
Well, maybe her powers are literally specific to how much can I hurt someone with magic.
But so this is my question just about powers in general. Because it's not like we're like, oh, some people get pain power, and then we seek those women out to become Mord-Sith. It sounds like you're just picking random people. How do they manifest specifically pain power to use as Mord-Sith if they were just any old person?
That's probably part of their training. I don't know.
But like,
and it does seem like all magic has some component of pain.
It does seem like that.
According to Zed.
Right, but there's still a difference between we are all various types of magic users, and it all comes with the side effect of pain versus like, I am the connoisseur who only controls pain portions of magic. It makes me question it when she says like, when in the middle of the thing, it's like, oh, she suddenly took hold of this thing and changed the rule and turned it off and turned it on. I guess I'm trying to be like, well, what does that feel like? How can you do that? What is it?
Well, maybe in future texts.
Maybe I will.
Maybe you will.
She's just, I don't know. But they keep doing the same shit over and over again. She keeps making the pain get bad, hitting him with the Agiel, all this shit. Then
he's begging. She's,
a few I thought at the end, towards the end of this bit, a few times she pressed herself against him, hugging his chest, squeezing, the hardness of the leather making every wound it pressed against flare anew in pain. Mm-hmm. Liked that.
Gulp. You know?
Oh, like, no.
Gulp.
Do it again.
I can't. I don't know how to gulp.
I hate that reaction. So I liked that
of course,
part. Yeah. I liked it in a variety of ways. I liked it in the like campy, like, oh, that's all this dominatrix behavior is so sexy way. Mm-hmm. I liked it in the like, in this portion of the story that feels coherent to me thematically. It fits well.
It does.
And I thought it like kind of it was like very like Hellraiser.
Oh, interesting.
That like pleasure and pain.
Absolutely.
Thing of like the hug and the sensuality of the body pushed against yours. Feels good, but it hurts. That's what Pinhead would say.
He would. Yeah, something
there.
like that. Yeah. Surely, yeah.
This is like, I don't know why I wrote this in my notes here.
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess because it like kind of reminded me of Hellraiser thematically. It's bridged off of what we were kind of just discussing. That I was like, the question I want to ask is it reasonable to expect an author to be able to articulate their own themes Or is that asking too much on some level? Like, if you consider the author as almost like vessel that like things are coming through and being, of course, impacted by their many things, is it reasonable? Like, it's almost like, is it kind of crazy to even think that they had to be conscious of what they were doing and able to like say it to you?
Interesting.
Right?
I think that it's like the why are the curtains blue thing.
Yeah, right.
I think that authors that are good have themes in mind. And they're writing with themes in mind and intentionality.
Well, he is doing that. It's just the wrong one.
You will never be fully aware of all the themes. Because all the themes that you're working on, there are super themes that are riffing off of your ideas and even riffing off of your themes.
Yeah.
So you will always be almost like surprised.
Yeah.
So you are the conduit for the art, and the art that's out there now, even if you had you're like, I want to write a book that like deals with childhood and trauma and abuse and magic, and then when you write it, you're like, oh wow, I did, with all those ideas, I did that too. I didn't even think of that. Like, when you're reading it, you're like, oh, and because you put all those together, you were talking about
they
this.
They were linked
and it's
inherently.
like, fuck, I didn't even think, I didn't even see that. I didn't even think about that. Like, that has to happen, right? Like,
yeah.
Because that's just what it is. That's what, I don't know.
Like, some part of me is just like, does it even matter that Terry didn't understand his own work?
No, that doesn't really matter. But it does create problems.
It does create issues, though, right? It is going to create issues for when you, I think that's the thing. It's kind of interesting that, like, he doesn't have to even be conscious of it, but the problem comes when he was like, actually, though, I did have something in mind. I can articulate my theme, and it's blank.
Yeah.
And then that theming actually ruins the unintended part that was good.
Yes, when they're in discord with each other, that's a problem.
Bad.
Yeah, that creates an issue.
I think it's because, like, I think some people also similarly will, like, kind of unintentionally create a story with bigger themes than they were at all consciously thinking of.
All the time.
But for some reason, the smaller things they were thinking of were very in harmony.
Yes.
With it, so it doesn't matter because you're like,
correct.
No, you didn't think of that. Maybe you can't even articulate it, but what you were thinking of fits so beautifully together with that it doesn't matter. Terry, interestingly, is often in discord.
I think every time he approached something big, he just said, I don't want to say that.
Right.
And then canceled it. But then didn't edit the chapter.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part. It's stream of consciousness, and then he'd take breaks, like where these little swords are. And then...
That doesn't mean he literally...
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, he'd take chunk breaks, and then he'd write more, and then be like, no, I'm taking that back. Instead of just taking it back, just cancel the chapter and rewrite it the way you want. You know what I mean?
But on some level, I think he wanted.
Well, then there's that too. He wanted.
Richard says he isn't aware of how long all of this is. Her just teaching him about the Agiel. He has no sense of time, and he wasn't aware of anything but the pain, as if it were a living thing there with him. I thought that was a nice line.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
He was only aware that at some point he knew he would do anything she said, no matter what it was, if only she would stop hurting him. Bad news for the Dark and Raw meeting. He can't even look at the Agiel at this point without crying. He realizes Denna's right. She, like, literally does not get bored or tired of torturing him. She really is just satisfied, amused, and fascinated by the entire process.
I liked the description there, that she never seemed to tire of hurting him and was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like you were saying, like, you can kind of understand.
I can.
And I was like, I think you could, because there is something in there.
Fascinating.
That's like, yeah, I don't know, if you were given unlimited license to be as cruel as possible.
I know, and somehow you could, like, dampen your empathy a lot, right?
Required.
Because I'm like, I'm imagining if I didn't feel bad, I could see what's fascinating about it, theoretically.
Dark exploration.
But yeah, obviously, in the moment, what would happen with most people is you'd go, oh my God, I feel so bad for this man. Oh, I'm like psychically living through him. But I guess so is she. She's experiencing. I guess that's what gives her the ability to not feel so bad.
She's feeling pain,
She's
too.
like, me too, bitch.
Yeah.
Me too. I don't feel that bad. I can just be fascinated by it because, like, the guilt is somehow removed by the fact that she is also
feeling pain.
Feeling the pain.
Wow, wait. Mord-Sithing as trauma exposure therapy for her own training of being a Mord-Sith.
What?
She is making Richard go through a similar experience that she went through.
Yeah.
And then watching it while also feeling his pain and empathetically trying to understand it from an orbital perspective. So she's standing almost above or outside of it, feeling some of it, connecting to him through it, putting him through what she went through to contextualize her own abuse.
Yeah.
In a way.
Right.
Fuck.
And that... So, you know what, Terry, in that sense,
Interesting.
that's a good abuse...
analog or...
Yeah, like, exploration there. But I thought one other thing that was interesting was that he says that the only thing she seemed to like more than hurting him was him begging her to stop, and that he can't breathe or like speak very well because he's in so much pain, and he wishes he could talk so he could beg her to stop because it would make her happy. And I thought that was very Mother Confessor.
We're getting close to the Confessor.
Yeah,
thing.
we are, right?
Yes.
Like, because it's like, again, he's trying to be like...
I wish I could... If I could talk more, I would, so that I could beg you to...
So I could just make you happy.
Because it makes you happier.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's starting to bleed into that.
Yeah, we're here. You love this? Okay. So...
The porn of it all.
Yeah, so... She's letting him hang for a little bit. He's expecting another Agiel hit. But instead, she grabs a fistful of his hair and jerks his head back. Says, now, my pet, I'm going to show you something new. I'm going to show you how kind a mistress I really am. She says that a lot.
Yeah. Very Joker of her.
She pulls his head back further and puts the Agiel across his throat and tells him to stop fighting. I did like imagining all of this.
Absolutely. Because your neck muscles inherently prevent that.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no.
So she's like, stop doing that. And then somehow he relaxes his muscles so she can pull as hard as she wants. I liked...
Yeah.
There's like a interesting pliancy feeling to the whole thing that I enjoyed.
It's like forced yoga.
Sure. Sure. Now, my pet, listen very carefully. I'm going to put the Agiel in your right ear. And then Richard almost like chokes in reaction to it, but she jerks his head back further to make him stop. Like, yeah, I would definitely pay for a role play of this here scene.
Yeah.
What could be the Agiel in my ear as like a good... like it hurts a little, but not that bad. Just so we could do it.
Like a shock prod thing.
That sounds really painful.
Well, this sounds worse. I don't
understand.
know.
I'm looking for even lower. Like
feather duster to the
a
armpit.
little higher. No, it's going in my ear. I don't even know.
Spiky
just
thing.
like a vibrator.
That just
Into
didn't
the
feel
ear.
funny. I don't know.
It's not gonna hurt.
No.
Maybe a little if you like really got it on the bone.
And it's like knocking.
Yeah.
Just vibing your head.
It's gotta hurt like a little bit, so you kind of want to pull away.
Oh wait, one of those like pens that are like shock electric.
That sounds terrible.
like,
Actually,
yeah.
that sounds horrible.
That's better than the Agiel, and probably feels more right than yeah.
She leans down and whispers in his ear like a lover. This is all very... Again, yeah, like I said, I'm trying to come up with a good substitute so I could have this recreated. That's all.
Yeah.
Because as we're going, it gets better. She says, it's different than anything else. It hurts a lot more, but you must do exactly as I say. She explains in the past, when she has a Mord-Sith sister Spider, with her. When a Mord-Sith sister is there, they would put it in each ear together on both sides. It is a little bit of a goofy image, though.
They're putting on their big strap belts, and they're putting their big Mord-Sith cocks on, and they're ramming it in their head. Like, what are we doing here?
What are you talking about?
This is a penetration analog.
Well, absolutely.
And me and my sister take our Agiels, and we just fuck your little ear hole.
Well, It kind of works. It's a little goofy.
It's goofy.
But I guess you are like, oh, there's something really, he got to circumvent how insane and how he's not probably going to get published if they were doing it up someone's butt. But it is also overwhelming because you're like, it's your head.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so
and
I get why
after the armpit, the ear is probably the next worst thing that close.
Yeah, or your mouth. That would have been good. Well, I guess we do that.
We do
I guess we do that.
Suck my Agiel. Timestamp that. Suck on my Agiel, Richard.
Okay.
Lick the tip of my Agiel, Richard. I'll show you the meaning of pain, Richard.
What? Why did that just come out of you? Okay. Okay, so when she has her Mord-Sith sister with her, they put it in each ear, and the screams were unlike any other. It gives Denna chills. It's intoxicating.
Come on. What is this? You know.
But it would also kill them. We were never successful at using two Agiels at the same time in that particular way without killing him. We kept trying, but they always died. Be thankful I'm your mistress. There are others who still try.
No, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't really.
You need me alive until dark and raw.
So
and then you
really
just said
nice?
You might just kill me anyway. So
it's whatever. It's just, you know.
Thank me. I won't murder you. She's like, please do it.
I know, he wants to get murdered.
Literally let me die.
Pay attention, she whispered harshly. Her voice softened again. When I do this, you must not move. If you move, it will damage things inside you. It won't kill you, but it will cause irrevocable disability. What a statement. Some men who move go blind. Some are no longer able to move anything on one side of their body. Some can't talk or walk. But in all who move, something is spoiled. I want you fully functional. Mord-Sith who are more cruel than I don't tell their pets not to move. They just do it without warning them. So you see, I am not so cruel as you thought. Still, only a few of the men I do it to are able to hold still. Even though I warn them, they still jerk and then they are left impaired. It's all a little confusing because I'm like, if you need him fully functional, why are you even risking it?
She doesn't need him fully functional. She just needs him to be able to talk.
She just said sometimes they can't talk.
That's a good point.
So that's
that makes
bad.
No fucking sense.
Why risk it? And then just being like, oh, and some of them will do it without telling the person that it's gonna like not to move. It's like, okay, then at that point, seemingly you just don't care if they die. But then you also keep reiterating to Richard that you don't want him to die because you need him for something. So
yeah. It's just to up the scare factor. And it's also like, so it's a forced stroke due to like ECT. Like,
I guess, I don't know, lots going on. So Richard cries. He begs her not to do it. Then he could feel the breath of her smile. She ran her wet tongue into his ear and kissed it. But I want to, my pet. Don't forget, hold still, don't move. That's what I'm going to pay for.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then
then
we'll jab you with the pen, the shock pen.
Oh, you're involved. Wheel.
I'll instruct them.
Okay.
I don't look as good in the red leather, probably.
Well, we'll see.
Maybe we'll find out. Maybe.
How Frank looks in red leather. Probably not next time, but maybe soon after that. Richard clenches his teeth. He's shocked by how painful it is. His head felt as if it had turned to glass and shattered into 1,000 pieces. He was in a wasteland of agony with no beginning and no end. And when she takes it out, he realizes he's been screaming.
Yep.
I don't know. I thought this was stupid. Like, that was simply a delightful scream, my pet. I've never heard one better, except in death, of course. Like, oh, wow. Okay.
She's like nagging his scream.
She tells him he did well, and he didn't move, and she kisses his neck and then his ear again and asks if he wants to do it again. And
he really doesn't.
Right, again, it's like all this mixture of everything hurts, but then she's also doing all these like sexual pleasant
priming
things to
him over and over.
Yeah, that's called BDSM. So she finally unhooks him. Oh no, she does the ear maneuver again. We don't really get any description of it. Then she unhooks him. He falls to the floor. He doesn't think he can move, but when he sees her gesturing with that Agiel, he gets right on up. Mm-hmm. And she says, that's all for today. Actually, that was only a half day of training, and tomorrow is going to be a full day, and it'll be even more painful. Is that even true? I'm trying to think. I feel like the next day's...
No, it is. It literally, the first thing starts with, like, she was right. A full day is worse.
Do they do... But is the next day the day they go to the banquet?
I don't know. Maybe it's at the end of it. Yeah, wait, that's kind of not a full day.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm like, actually, that seemed like a pretty good reprieve.
Yeah.
Emotionally devastating, perhaps, but not like this.
I'm not excited for that.
I'm not excited for it either. I'm upset by it. I am not feeling like any part of my brain wants what's gonna happen off of here. So...
Yep.
So Richard, like, does not give a fuck that they're doing more training. He's like, I just want to sleep on the floor. That sounds amazing. And she brings the chair back over, took the chain that hung from his collar and hooked it over the iron peg in the beam. What does that mean?
So, like, where the manacles were hanging, I guess. He now took this and hung it up there, yeah.
Okay, but does she really need to bring the chair back over for that?
I think he's sitting in the chair, right? Or maybe she needed to get up on the chair.
Oh, she needs to get up on the chair.
But she's the same height as him, so it doesn't really make sense.
No, somewhat, no, because if it's in the ceiling, right, she'd have to.
Sure, maybe.
Okay,
yeah.
God, I keep bringing this... I guess I'm just supposed to assume if she's bringing the chair over,
Chair's been doing work, honestly.
The
He
chair's
got kicked
been
over.
such a main character.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So he has the longer chain now hooked up there.
Yep.
And that's when he realizes there isn't enough slack for him to actually, like, lie down on the floor. He's like, how am I supposed to sleep? She's like, I never said that you were going to sleep. And sleep's a privilege you earn. He hasn't earned it because he imagined killing her this morning. And in Mord-Sith logic, it's so fucked up because some part of your brain's like, in Mord-Sith logic, that, like, makes sense. You're like, well, yeah, that was bad. You can't do that. I remember reading this the very first time and being, like, very devastated that he could not sleep.
It's death unending.
Because
you know?
There's like a lot of books where, like, people go through really harrowing things. And do you feel this way after somebody's been, like, training a lot or went through their horrible fight?
Yeah.
Whenever they get to the point at the end of the chapter where they go to bed, you, like, feel this, like, wow, that must feel really good.
Yep. It's being robbed. He doesn't get his long rest. That's really the thing.
Yeah. Do you feel that, though?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
like, anytime a character's really been put through it and they're in bed, I, like, feel this, like, oh, that must be the best.
It's the sweet embrace of sleep. Like, it really is.
And I remember feeling, like, almost as the reader, like, are you fucking serious? I don't even get that, like, sense of, like, oh, he got to go to bed.
Nope. Tortures continue.
That sucks.
It does. So is he standing or is he sitting? That's the question. Because I could fall asleep in a chair. That's not a problem.
Right. But she makes him, like, afraid to fall asleep because she's like, if it falls off.
If it falls, you're fucked. Yeah.
She tells him before she leaves that if he wants to try and remove the chain from the peg and have the pain make him pass out, she changed the magic so he can no longer pass out. This is what I mean, though. I'm like trying
She's just got a lot of dials in her brain, and that's it.
But you're saying, like,
sleep? No. Pass out? No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because you're like, oh, well, she can just control his anger magic. And I'm like, well, seemingly she could do much more than that.
Well, the pain, I think, is from the anger magic. So the anger magic pain turn on. Pass out, turn off. Yeah, wait, that's his brain.
That's its own thing.
Yeah, wait.
Like, her being able to be like, you can't pass out. You can't, like, I don't know. It's so convoluted. Has nothing to do with his magic, whether he can pass out or not. What sort of magic is this? Where'd she get it? Was she born with it? Can you teach anybody this? Why does the court artist have art magic? What's up with all the... There seems... We're getting way more specific than, like, wizard, sorceress, this... like, these are really specific types of magic.
Birdman.
That's more about, like, the spirit. He's like, yeah, if you get that... If that hook falls off, you take it off, it falls off, like, you're awake all night with the pain. You're not going to pass out no matter how bad it gets.
If Richard had duct tape right now, like, would he be allowed to reach up and duct tape the chain to the thing? Because he's not trying to take it off. Like, would the pain magic allow him to be... I'm trying to extra secure it on there.
Right. Does it
would
know
the pain magic be like,
Does it know his
Good.
intent?
I think it does, right? Or is it just like you can't reach for the chain?
I think you just can't reach for the chain. You shouldn't be fucking with it at all. Yeah. So she leaves with the torch. So he's in darkness. He starts crying and eventually starts thinking about Kaylin. And he thinks about how she's safe and she has people to protect her. And he imagines her telling and listening to stories at the campfire.
In the loving embrace of Michael's army.
Yes. And he smiles and he feels a little bit better. And he thinks about their kiss. Which that would be a time to maybe have some feelings about all the other stuff
kiss,
that happened today. But no.
No.
And he thinks about how Dark Admiral's going to die and Kaylin is going to live. And that is good. In his brain. Yep. So he's basically like, okay, I just have to like keep enduring pain. At some point Denna or Dark Admiral are going to kill me for sure, and that's good. And nothing Denna could do could match the pain of knowing that he couldn't be with Kaylin. That's a little dramatic.
That's how he's feeling right now.
Is that reasonable? Like, it's romantic, but it's also like, after all that...
This is just physical pain. This is pain of the soul, you know?
Do you agree, like, are you like, that seems reasonable?
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's crazy in a cute fairy book sort of way.
Kaylin, the woman he loved who would choose another. This always still irritates the shit out of me. Him acting like Kaylin...
has to choose another.
Confessing and breeding with some zombie man is in any way
the same as just falling in love with someone else.
Give me a break, buddy.
He's been through a lot today, all right? Leave him alone.
Give me a break. And he was glad he was going to be dead before she does that.
Wow, you don't know. She's in the camp with all these guys right now.
Two fucking peas in a pod. The same way Kaylin's like, I literally would rather die than have Richard have sex with one woman to save the world. And then he's like, I'm so glad I'm going to be dead when Kaylin...
before she bones someone else.
Who is brain dead. And then your ass is about to go fuck this lady. Not because you wanted to, but the same way, it's the same thing. Kaylin also isn't doing it because she wants to. She has to, and so do you. And you guys are fucking annoying.
I think that's probably part of his lesson, though, right? Like, I think he's going to be like,
I don't think so. Anyway, I just think y'all are just being weird about all of this. I'm not saying it's an easy emotional spot to be in.
No.
At all.
No.
But I think the drama of wanting to die instead is a bit much for me. It does have some sort of like purity thing attached to it, I guess.
Big time.
There should be some sense of like one is different than the other. Is all sexual contact weighted in their minds? Like, it seems like it.
Yeah, I think so.
It's very like
they're children. Are there
here
any brothers in all of this series?
God.
Are there any women of the night?
Well, technically yes, because Kaylin it's implied that Richard was in fact a prostitute, and they all seem to be aware of this idea.
But that doesn't mean we ever see one.
No, I don't think we're ever going to see one.
That's crazy. Not a one?
I doubt
Not a one? We got people selling natal charts outside of
literally.
Tamarang, but we're not going to have one prostitute?
So yeah, then he's just like... He wonders if next time when she Agiels his ear, if he should just move and maybe he'll be like brain dead and then she'll just kill him. Which I was like surprised he didn't think of it in the moment, but...
I know, right? He's just talking about how I want to die, and then...
And she's like, you might die from this.
And then she does it twice, and he's not like on the second one like, oh, I'm going to do it now.
I kind of get it, though. I think it's like some part of your brain's like, I want to die. But then in that moment, you might be like, let me just ride it out. Let me just see what's going to happen the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Because like some part of him probably is like...
And he's right.
Maybe Zed'll show up.
He gets out. So, yeah, he is
maybe
correct.
Something. And yeah, I definitely understand how thinking on her existence, their memories would at night be like
give
the thing
strength.
Keeping you going.
Absolutely.
For sure that.
And then happily, chapter 41 ends, and we don't hear anything else.
And that's the end of the chapter.
The end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, Mistress Denna does a lot of sexual and torturous but sexually charged activities with him. It calls a lot of things about human nature into question. We all kind of like get the gist. He loves Kaylin, and then we move on. Mm-hmm. I love that part where we
just moved on,
where we go to chapter 42. I love that. part.
We're already in Dahara. We don't have to.
And then we're gonna see Dark and Raw. Oh my god, the climax will happen, and it's all good. Yeah, why does the next part need to happen?
I don't know.
Because if you cut it out, the whole story, I bet you right now, the whole story would continue to make just as much sense.
Yeah.
So that means that I'm supposed to pull something out of it.
You could have extended this part
a little
have
bit.
him do a little something that makes her like pissed off but horny. End it with the end cap that we had there. At the end of the chapter.
You're right. I want to cut and paste the very end.
You know what we're cutting out. Yeah,
of
exactly.
chapter 41 where they kiss and it's implied that we're
becoming sexual,
that we're
bound
doing sexual things, and we'll put that at the end here, and that will be the end of chapter 41. What does the rest of it add to the story?
Complexes
of
and
what
pedophilia / BDSM taking root in the minds of children and having a good time with letting children engage in BDSM with adults, and what I can only assume is some sort of commentary on at least one little girl and maybe the heart of little girl. I don't know. I need to reread it and really sit with this because I'm going to have trouble.
I'm scared.
I'm going to be angry.
I'm scared is what I am.
This one's a lot.
I do want to reread it because I really do want to like try and make sense of it, but
it's like only 9 more pages.
I feel so.
And I don't hate
feel
like
pretty
3 of them.
Happy now.
I know.
And I know he's gonna like.
It's crazy. It's only like 5 pages of oh god.
Trash.
Even if this next part was entirely led by the Queen.
Yeah.
I would be fine with it.
Yeah.
I would be fine with it. And then you can even have her, the daughter, Princess Violet, there learning bad things. You could do it if you wanted to.
Well, you could certainly do it you could do it in a subtle way that would still kind of make me uncomfortable, but like, I'd be like, okay, where it goes is confusing to me.
And concerning.
Like I said.
Especially with the pedophilia as a theme and like all these other things. It's like, why did we do that? It didn't need to happen. It wasn't like great for the plot. It didn't push really anything forward. You made a decision.
What did it say about how does it help characterize Richard? I'm not sure.
It does something weird for Denna.
It does exactly. It makes any bit of liking I have for Denna. It like I don't know. I can't.
We will get into it in 2 weeks from today.
You guys have to. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait.
And I wish we didn't, but you need this, and sort of we are here for you.
Need what?
Our commentary on what is a very unfortunate end to chapter 41.
Yeah. I guess that's it.
That's
you have
all we
anything else
got.
you want to say?
No. Mistress Denna, you're a real one currently, but let's see if you keep that up in the coming weeks and months. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Look forward to spitting it all with y'all guys next time. Look forward to it, you know. Just having a lovely day here.
Okay. Yep, that's the end of that.
Yeah, you got anything? Got any accents you want to bust out for no reason?
No, not really.
All right.
But before we go, if you guys want to be real ones, just like Mistress Denna, you should make sure that you subscribe. Like the video. It really does help. Also, links in the bio. Follow us on social media at Secret Confessor Pod. It's on TikTok. It's on Instagram. Follow wherever the hell you want.
We're all over the place.
Get in the comments. If anybody's listening, audio, well, definitely, I was going to say leave comments on YouTube, but you guys do that already a ton.
So much.
But anybody else wants to join in, come join the party. But if you're an audio listener, seriously, if you guys could give us a star rating / review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that would be amazing. We're hitting the end here, guys. That's going to be it.
Thank you. We love you guys.
Love you guys.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.